Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Randy or Not. Here I come. All of that. So yeah, back again, 5th episode. Yes, I give you my usual talk of what I sang in the shower. It's obviously what I did sing in the shower today, Pokemon, which was the Pokemon theme, if people do remember Pokemon back in the days. Pokemon obviously had the original theme of gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon. I wanna be the very best that no one ever was. Do catch them is my big test. Train them is my course. Anyway, I don't want to stop now. Is this another singing episode or something like that? No, not to be too much into that today, but it does set me up for what I do want to talk about this week, which is obviously the old school days, more touch on Pokemon and stuff like that. But before I do get onto that, obviously people are probably wondering, what do you have in your mouth, Randy? Because we can kind of see something tossing around there. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, a tiny bit, so I do have a soothers, as it's called. So I don't know if people know about soothers. They do sell them in shops. I've actually forgotten the rest of the name of the packaging, but they're soothers. I think it's the honey and lemon one. So that's obviously what I'm sucking on right now. It does help quite a bit, and it's doing the job at this moment in time. Hopefully you guys can still hear me clearly. If you can't, then it is what it is. But anyways, let me stop waffling on. I guess I usually do this sometimes to get the whole idea in my mind of actually what I'm trying to escape out to talk about, because as I said here, I have no script. You know what I mean? This is just me having a conversation with you guys and telling you what this is all about. But yeah, if you are feeling any of these episodes of Randy or Not, or any of the thing that happens on the Randy Prizzle channel or the Clairpoint Podcasters YouTube channel, you know what to do, all of that. But yeah, let's touch on a bit more of the past, a bit more of what made Randy come to love Pokemon. Pokemon kind of started off for me in the 2000s. I remember watching the first episode of Pokemon, and instantly I was hooked. You know, I did usually think, who's this Ash Ketchum dude? Why is he such a bit of a tool? Because Ash was always that guy that was quite irritating when you heard Ash speak. When Ash said something, you'll be like, oh gosh, not this prick again. Talking about how he's trying to get to the Johto League and what, that was the next one, by the way. But how he wants to get to the Pokemon League, to become a Pokemon Master. And you looked at him and you said, you're no better than Gary Oak, who's your rival. Gary Oak was streets ahead of Ash Ketchum. And the thing is, in the earlier days, Ash got so lucky. You know what I mean? He got so lucky, that guy. Kissing his ass, the people were in the competitions. Ash is the best thing since sliced bread. The only thing that was great about Ash was his Pikachu and the rest of his Pokemon that he had with him. And people would even argue and say Ash's Pokemon in the earlier days was basic. I mean, apart from his Charizard, what other Pokemon did Ash have that was really impressive? I mean, Pikachu, to be fair, yeah, Pikachu was in a league of its own. In terms of cuteness, Pikachu had the cute factor. You could say obviously Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, them had their characters as well. But Pikachu stood out as the cute one, you know what I mean? The fact of the matter is, you look at Ash as a trainer back then, you used to think to yourself, how did this guy make it so far? And it was by luck most of the time. But let me stop touching more on Ash Ketchum and let's talk about how I actually got into watching Pokemon. As I said, I remember watching the first episode of Pokemon, and this was kind of like after school days. You know, school for me usually was shit back in them days. Secondary school, wasn't a big fan of secondary, and people would ask me why I would get onto that probably in another episode. But generally, coming back home, running home to watch Pokemon, it was the be all and end all. You know, I didn't want to miss episodes. You want to come back and you see Pokemon, you feel alive, it makes you feel good. It's not just that, but just coming home. Like, that was just it for me. Like, getting on the bus, getting home, that's where I wanted to be. Going home, sitting in my house and watching some Pokemon. Because Pokemon was what it was. It was great. You know what I mean? For me, at that period of time, apart from Simpsons, I saw it as one of the best cartoons that was out there at that time. People probably say, oh, well, there's other ones there, but in terms of standing out, Pokemon and The Simpsons for me were streets ahead, I think, of any other thing that was coming out around that time. You got to look at, obviously, other cartoons that were out in the good old Cartoon Network. You know, some of them like Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken, Ed, Ed and Eddie. Well, I can name a few more of them that were just streets ahead. They were good as well, but when you look at the ones that were so popular that captivated a wide amount of audiences, those were the ones that stood out. But I look at that and I say, well, Pokemon had that factor. It had it, and it had it for me as well. Watching Pokemon was like, it was just like the be all and end all. You know what I mean? You just got hooked on it. As much as watching wrestling as well, that was one of the things I got hooked on. Wrestling, I loved watching the Attitude Era of wrestling, because wrestling for me was big. Now, we'll touch on wrestling obviously in another episode as well. But Pokemon was just, it was there in terms of cartoons, man. I watched this with mostly delight on my face. There was glee, you know what I mean? I was always happy to come back and watch it. You know what I mean? And I don't know what it was about it, you know, at that time, because Ash was a loser in my eyes. I weren't really a fan of Misty. I mean, Brock was my man, let's be honest. Brock was the guy that most of us wanted to be like, because Brock was a guy that was trying to develop, but he was trying to push himself and go, I like these girls, and I want to keep shooting my shot. You know what I mean? This is the kind of thing that inspired most of us guys and gone, well, if Brock could do it, we can do it. Do you know what I mean? And Brock was that guy, man. Because you looked at Brock and you thought, every time he tried to make moves to girls, Misty would either cock block him, or the girls would just say no to Brock. Or they would just get stubborn and go, and Brock would be like, yeah, so what do you say? What do you say? Do you wanna go out? Do you wanna me and you marry together? The girls are like, so that's a bit awkward. But in general terms, Pokemon was just great, man. I remember the good old days as well, when we used to bring the Pokemon cards to school. Oh, believe me, it was madness at those times. When everybody used to collect Pokemon cards, bring the Pokemon cards in, and people used to go and show them to other people. Oh, this is what I got. You know, you bring them in to trade them as well. Some people obviously came in with the intention to trade their cards, but ended up going home without any of their cards. Because the thing about it is, Pokemon was so massive that people had the idea and the audacity to go and steal other people's cards, and this was what it was. If you had Pokemon cards in those days, your cards were getting jacked if you weren't careful. If you didn't put them in a careful place, someone was going through your stuff and picking out these cards and taking them to their home. So it no longer becomes yours anymore. Literally, they went and stole it off you. You know what I mean? But this is obviously the stuff that was happening back in those days. People didn't care. They didn't give a shit. They were like, well, if you leave your cards, which is still in your possession, in your bag or something, it still makes people go, oh, I see, I know, he has cards, or she has cards, I could go jack that. Which is bad. But at those times, this is what people would do for Pokemon cards. I remember back in the days as well. school days. And this is always where things always happen with Pokemon cards in school. People were fighting over Pokemon cards. Fighting. Having full-on fist fights. Listen, I remember me as well. I had issues where I had my Pokemon cards jacked. That's why I left them in my what's his name for a minute, and then boom, it went. And that kind of pissed me off. I was like, well, it is what it is, you know. Like, I've got my cards jacked. What do? Do I go and cry about it? No, I'm not going to cry about a Pokemon card. Why am I going to cry over Pokemon cards? I felt annoyed and I felt disappointed, but I never would go and bawl my eyes out like, oh, I've lost my Pokemon card. Someone snatched them off me. What am I going to do? Oh. No, it's never going to happen. That was never me. You know what I mean? That's why I had my cards jacked on like 3 occasions. 3 occasions I had my Pokemon cards jacked. I remember I left them one time in my bag, and someone just went through and just took them. Thinking that at the end of the day, as soon as I got home, okay, Pokemon cards, get them out. Looking at nothing. So I'm a bit like, oh crap, someone's just taking the cards, what can I do? It is what it is. It is what it is. People will do these things because at the end of the day, they don't care. They don't care. You know what I mean? Some of them are like, well, if you leave your cards unattended, they're mine. It's like, well, we never left them unattended. You went through my stuff and specifically took these cards. Which is mad. But this is what some people were doing back in these days. They didn't care. They didn't give a crap if they were yours. Your items were getting stolen. They would go through your stuff when your back was turned. If your bag was down kind of under the table or underneath your chair, they would find some way of sneaking, going underneath the table, zipping up your bag and taking your stuff out. This is how a lot of things got jacked in school, man. Because people didn't care, man. School was one of those times where everybody just went, okay. If they knew, if they saw a glance that you had Pokemon cards, you were in trouble. And that's why I kind of stopped. After the 3rd time of getting jacked, which I didn't learn, after the 3rd time, I stopped bringing my cards to school. Like, it wasn't going to happen anymore. I didn't want to trade with anyone. I didn't care about any of that. I was like, fuck everybody. I'm not trading with no one. You know what I mean? But any of that, I wasn't really talking to anybody about Pokemon cards. I bring them to show them to the people that I was really cool with. Because there was people that I was really cool with when I eventually got into the group of people who eventually let me in. Because I was an outsider. But then I started to go, no, it's not worth bringing these in. It's not worth getting them jacked as someone taking my cards and me going home pissed off. Oh my word, why the hell did they do that shit? What the fuck's wrong with these people? But you move on. But I did obviously want to touch on more of the Pokemon stuff that happened in school, because there was points where people would trade cards, but people weren't just trading them. There was this tall building we had in school, and this is secondary school, by the way. People would say it was secondary, middle school, for people who don't know. So we went to the top, well, not me, but people went to the top, and the school has this kind of library, and it has these kind of 2 tiers tall building, basically. You've got the outside of the steps that go up towards the library, and there's kind of a balcony that's on these steps. So people used to go on there and they used to throw their Pokemon cards off the top. Like, it was a scramble for all. They always used to go up there and they threw cards. Some of them were rare cards, shinies, everything like that. And this got people involved in like a scuffle. Like, as soon as people saw cards getting thrown from the top, there was a brawl. Like, people were going there to fight to grab these cards. And it was just chaotic, man. It was like a Royal Rumble that was happening in front of my eyes. that people would actually be fighting for Pokemon cards. I used to laugh because it was entertainment for me watching these people make fools of themselves. Some of them were getting kicked in, punched up if they got the card, even when they had the card in their hand. Some of them were getting whacked. Do you know what I mean? And you used to think to yourself, my word, all this for Pokemon cards. How stupid were we back in those days that we would commit ourselves to all this drama for Pokemon cards? Pokemon cards. Think about it now. I'm like, it's madness, man, for Pokemon cards. This is how insane things used to happen back in those days. Where people just wanted to fight. People wanted to kick people's head in for Pokemon cards. But I can't really talk and say too much because we used to have wrestling in the basement. You know what I mean? And wrestling in the basement was fun. You know what I mean? If you ever had wrestling and you did wrestling in school, you would know what I'm talking about. But in terms of wrestling in the basement, we had like a particular area that we would go to have our wrestling in, which I'll touch on a bit more. But I think that's all I've really got to talk about for Pokemon cards, and Pokemon in general. But Pokemon was that for us. It was everything. You know what I mean? You went to school with those intentions of like either trading your cards or showing them off. And if you were show off, you had problems. If you had rare cards and people knew about them, you were in trouble. So you should never, and this is for the people now who do have whatever's popular now that people bring to school, never bring that to school. Don't, no. Because people will find out. People talk. And when they find out that you have some rare cards or something that's rare, they're going to want to steal them. So I'm just saying, be warned. Be warned. That's all I've got to say that. But yeah, man. Pokemon cards were trouble, man. They were trouble. Do you know what I mean? I gave them away. I think as soon as I got to college, I gave my Pokemon cards away because I was like, nah, I don't care about them anymore. I used to think to myself, why did I give so much of a crap about these cards? Why did I care? Like the program, okay, fair enough, but I think watching the program and looking into it made you realise that you wanted a Pokemon of your own. Like, for me, one of my favourite Pokemons, like, I had a couple, but one of my favourite ones was always Dragonite. I was a big fan of Dragonite, because Dragonite, you know, had that ability to look like it was a dumbass, but Dragonite could kick your ass. Let's just put it in those terms, because Dragonite was this tall fucker. You know what I mean? He was tall. Or she. I think they could come in she as well. So, they were tall. And these things would just do these weird sounds. Oh, or something like that. Oh. I don't know why they gave it such a crappy sound, but you know, it is what it is. And these guys were monstrous. You know what I mean? Terrifying. The fact that they knew electric attacks, water attacks. I think there was so much more they knew as well. Hyper beams and all this thing. They flew in the air. They used dragon attacks. These men that were untouchable, man. Invincibles. That's what I said. That's my Pokemon. That's the one that I say is my top Pokemon. Dragonite. I liked Jolteon as well. Jolteon was another one of my favourites. So, Jolteon, for the purpose reasons that it had pin cushions on it and it had the electric attacks. And I thought it was quite cool. It was a fox that, you know, could do mad things. Chop! And that was it. Chop! That was it. The sound it would make. Chop! I was like, I don't know what that sounds all about, but chop! You know, so they gave some of these Pokemon some weird sounds when I think about it. But like looking into it and having those Pokemons in your deck and you knew which ones you wanted, especially with the games as well. Like I had obviously the blue, Pokemon Blue. I was a big fan of Pokemon Blue back in the days, you know. Every time I had it, I was always trying to look for a Dragonite. I would always try to get a Dratini and then get that Dratini to evolve into a Dragonair. Get that Dragonair to evolve into a Dragonite. And once I had a Dragonite, I was all haps because I knew I would kill everybody. I would kill everybody when I had a Dragonite. Listen, the first set of Pokemons I had I only really traded one Pokemon. I mean, not trade. I only trained one Pokemon, and that was bad of me. So like, throughout the whole journey, I didn't care about the rest of them. I was like, forget them. Let's just train one. That was bad of me because the one was like at 70 or 80%. 80 level. It was on 70 or 80. I can't specifically remember now. And I would always take that one into battle. Every time we started, that was the one I would battle with. I put a few on for like experience points, but that was the ones that was at the top. Everything else I didn't really train. Like I'd call them in like caves and that, and if they had a higher level, I just booted the ones off that had the lower levels off. I was like, get out of there, just go with that one. The army is at 50 plus or something to have us back up in case I know. But I would get killed if I was facing anybody that was like 70 or 80 but above in their Pokemon decks, and which I did with one guy. I remember taking my Pokemon into battle with this guy, and I was like, I got a stacked deck, I can kill him. Well, I thought, this one Pokemon has this stacked deck, he can kill him. Going into it now, and I see the rest of his squad is all, like, I killed one of his Pokemon, like, yeah, I got this. This one Pokemon's going to handle the rest of them. See, the rest of his deck now is about 80, everything else is all 80 and stuff like that. I'm like, oh shoot. Like, and for me back in the days, I'm a lazy trainer. I was a lazy trainer back in those days. I didn't want to get all stuck into like, training 5 or 6 of them. I didn't care about that. I only wanted to train one. And that would just put him in battles and let him battle everything and kill everything. That was a Pokemon I can't specifically remember what Pokemon it was, but that was a Pokemon I had. You know what I mean? And that Pokemon was always there to make stuff happen, to go there and destroy everything in its path. And that's what that Pokemon would do. And it was simple to say that that was always my get out of jail card. It was my only card because I had no other one. Do you know what I mean? Everything else was like 50 plus and stuff. But that one there specifically was at 80, in level 70, 80. So it had the factor, I had it, you know what I mean? But I just never worried about everything else on my pack. I didn't care. I was a lazy trainer, which is awful to say, but that's what it was for me. I was shit. No doubt about that. I was awful. Didn't care about the rest of the Pokemon. I didn't care what one of them. And that was me back in those days. Obviously nowadays, no, I train everything. And I've gone back to play the DS, which I've got a Pokemon Black on the DS. So people do remember the DS. Big up to you if you obviously are still playing the DS. If you're not, then so you moved on to your next gen stuff in it, which obviously are I'm forgetting the names of the new consoles, but I know what they are. It's not come to my head at this point in time. The Switch and all that. So this is obviously the case now. So I've been going back to play some old school Pokemon Black, and I got the other Pokemon game that came out on the DS as well. Swords, something along the lines. Silver, something like that. This I can't remember the names. I'm not good at remembering too much of that, but it's exciting to go back and play those games. But and it's cool to experience the level of Pokemon that and to just get stuck in and enjoy Pokemon once again. Like, if you're talking about the series of Pokemon, for me, it can't be the original. It can't be the 2000 episodes that came out. You're looking at the original Kanto, Johto. I think after those, I didn't care about the rest anymore. After they changed the animation, I didn't care about Pokemon anymore. I stopped caring because I just felt for me it was just too far now. Like, I'd rather just play the games now than watch the series, and that's just it for me now. Like, I think I'm well past that because you got now 600, 700 Pokemon now. It's like, it's just too much now. Like, you got these Mega Evolves now and all this. Alright, just stick with the game on that one. It's a bit complicated now. They've moved on to higher levels and everything's gone a bit different now and a bit weird. But this is what they're going to do. They're going to keep attracting the consumers and bringing them in for the Pokemon vibes. And Pokemon, it was cool as hell back in the days. It was cool as hell. I think playing the games now is still exciting, but when you're watching Pokemon, it's not that level anymore. And that's all I've got to say on that for me, personally. But Pokemon was a big part of my, like you could say early teenage years. Pokemon was that one that kind of got me to be like, I guess, a bit more open with a lot of people in school. Especially the group that allowed me in and talking to them. And Pokemon was always the stuff we would talk about and gossip on. And we'll have like a Pokemon talk-off, like, the Pokemon songs and all that used to happen. I'll talk about the ones that happened, like where they used to say the names and that, and with the rap that happened, the Pokemon rap. 150 for all to see. To be a Pokemon master is my destiny. That one. I don't know all the names of the Pokemon and all that. I can't remember. But that one was the big one. And just listening to that, and we all trying to have like a Pokemon name off. So we used to do this in school most of the times, where we have that name off. Like, okay, we'd name each Pokemon. We give each other like about 10 seconds to name a Pokemon. And then obviously if you didn't name the Pokemon in 10 seconds, you lost. So that was kind of it. It was, Pokemon was something that really was happening in the childhood days. It was, well, not just childhood, I would say teenage. Getting confused now. But that's Pokemon for you, and this is the good thing about it. And for me, that's why I'm going to remember most about it. Like Kanto, Johto's series, and what it did for us in school. It was the be-all and end-all Pokemon at times. You just didn't want to go to school if you got your cards jacked. And that was it. Like, if you had your cards jacked or you bought shinies in, you made sure you learned your lesson next time. But I never had shinies, so I didn't really bother to. I didn't really care because I never had shinies. I think I had one which was a Clefairy or one of them ones that do shinies. But I never had anything else. So I didn't really care if I got my cards jacked. I had basic bait shit cards, so I didn't really care about having them jacked too much, so hence why I keep bringing them in, and that was that. So yeah, cool. Well, that's all I guess for this episode. We'll come to talk about Pokemon. I know a lot of people probably wouldn't have cared or liked Pokemon a lot, but I like Pokemon, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are Pokemaniacs. So for all the Pokemaniacs out there, I guess this episode was for you. So congratulations, you got an episode on Pokemon. We would see if we can drag some more episodes in about anything else that jumps to mind. So it depends on my song choices that I sing in the shower. And it also depends on my mood, on what I'm going to talk about. Because I could come and debate stuff, or I could come and just rip something up and tear it apart. But we just, this is what Randy and Art is all about. So, as I said, to everybody out there, if you're feeling this episode, you know what to do below, all of that. And obviously you can follow me on any of all the other pages that I'm on. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, I'm on there. So, and obviously list of friends that are below as well. You can follow them too. And if you haven't subscribed, then get onto that if you want to. And I don't force people. If you want to, then do that if you want to. But yeah, I appreciate your time, guys. And you know what we do when I usually finish. Till next time, guys. Randy's out.